Hello, everyone, and welcome to this bonus training. In this training, you're going to hear about how to get your products featured in the media. And my name is Andrea Ayers, and I am the founder of launchgrowjoy.com. So, this training is for you if you sell a private label product or any product on Amazon and you want to increase your sales by getting featured in the media. I know there's quite a few different strategies that you can use to increase your sales, but getting media attention is actually one that works really, really well. This training is also for you if you feel like maybe you're intimidated by big name magazine editors and feel like you're not sure what to say or how to approach them. I know many of you might have dreams of getting your products featured, let's say in Oprah magazine or some of the other top magazines, but when you actually think about it, you might feel really intimidated that you might not know what to say, you might not know how to approach them, and how this whole publicity thing really works. So I'm here to show you exactly how you can do that. You're also in the right place, and this training is for you if you've tried reaching out to the media and got zero or very little response. I know some of you watching this training have already gotten media attention, but some of you have tried reaching out, but you actually ended up not getting a response at all. So you're definitely in the right place. And this training is also for you if you receive some publicity, but it actually hasn't translated into sales. And while publicity sometimes does generate sales, actually, a lot of times does generate sales, sometimes it does happen that you might not get sales right away. So we're going to talk about how to get past that and how to use the publicity so you can actually get more sales for your Amazon store. So before we get started, in case you're not familiar with me, as I said, my name is Andrea Ayers, and I have been an entrepreneur for a while. I started a t-shirt company called Tees for Change in 2007, and I ended up selling it in 2011. But I really had no fashion or apparel experience, no online experience, no manufacturing experience, or even sales experience. I know some of you can relate to this as well. But by the time I sold my business 4 years later, I was able to get my t-shirts featured in more than 300 media outlets, and that included TV, on influential blogs, on influential celebrities as well. But I did make a lot of expensive mistakes. And the reason I want you to pay attention to this training is because I want you to avoid making those mistakes that I made that have literally cost me thousands of dollars when I had my t-shirt business. I also started a organic soap business called Soaps to Live By in 2013 and ended up closing it in 2014. But the reason I mentioned this is because I launched my soap business by being featured in holiday gift guides, and I was very strategic about that, and it definitely worked. And that led me to sell out of my soaps twice during the holiday. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is because if I can do it, if I can do this with no experience, and if I figured out and learned how to do it, you can too. And I'm hoping that this training will help you to save a lot of time and money and not make the mistakes that I did when I had both of my businesses. So as you can see here, these are some of the magazines that my soaps and my t-shirts were featured in. Now, this is just a handful of them. There are a ton more that I didn't put on here, but I've also been teaching PR to entrepreneurs, and I felt hundreds of entrepreneurs get PR. So you might be wondering, is publicity in magazines still relevant? I know a lot of stuff is moving online. Many magazines now publish online versions. Some media outlets have switched completely to online. But is publicity in magazines, which is mostly what we're going to talk about today, is that still relevant? And the answer is absolutely. Because if you get mentioned in a magazine, and this goes for bigger and smaller magazines as well, you're most likely going to get increased traffic to your Amazon store, and this is going to equal more sales for you. And who does not want more sales, right? We all want more sales. We all want more traffic to our Amazon store. And publicity is definitely one of the strategies that you can use to do that. And here's the interesting thing about publicity, that the more press you get, the more other magazines will want to write about you. I know this might be counterintuitive because you might be thinking, well, if this magazine knows that this other magazine wrote about me, why would they want to write about me too? But it's a crazy phenomenon that actually does happen. And the more press you get, the more press you are going to be getting in the future. It's sort of like a domino effect. And I've seen this with all of my businesses as well. So publicity in magazines is absolutely still relevant to your business. Now, let's talk about the 5 steps to getting featured because I want to get right to it. I want to make sure that you are getting as much as you can from this training. And we're going to talk about each one of these steps in a second. But the first step is to start early. And I'm going to share with you exactly what I mean by that in just a second here. And then step number 2 is to do your research and then find the right contact. Once you've done that, it's time to pitch your products and follow up. And you're going to see in a few minutes here why I put following up as its own step because this is critical to getting publicity for your products. So let's talk about the first step, which is to start early. And this is also known as the lead time. So print magazines start looking months in advance for products to feature in their next issue. So for example, national magazines, and these are magazines like Oprah magazines, GQ, Travel and Leisure, Vanity Fair, all of the main magazines that you're going to find in any bookstore, in any Barnes and Noble, magazines that everyone in the US has access to. These are the national magazines, and they usually start looking for products about 3 to 6 months in advance. So let's say you want to get featured in a magazine's holiday gift guide, which we're going to talk about in just a second as well. You have to start pitching your product starting in May, June, and July. Sometimes it'll be August that they're looking as well, but as you can see, you have to start super early here, especially when it comes to the national magazines. Now, with the region and local magazines, it's a little different. They still have a bit of a lead time, but that lead time is only about 2 to 4 months. So if you want to get featured in their December issue as a holiday gift, probably starting in August or September is when you want to focus on that. And there's a couple of other different media outlets like blogs and online magazines. Those usually have a lead time of about 1 to 2 months, and the newspapers, which is another great way to get publicity for your products, they usually have about 2 weeks to 2 months lead time. So you want to make sure that you plan it ahead, you put it in your calendar, and let's say if you want to get featured in the May issue of a magazine for, let's say, Mother's Day gifts or spring fashion or something that they're covering for that month, May, if you're thinking that you're going to approach them in April or May, it's already too late. You have to sort of work your way back about 3 to 6 months for national magazines and 2 to 4 months for regional and local magazines. Now, here is a little cheat sheet. You might want to take a screenshot of this if you want, but as I mentioned before, this is when you want to start looking. So if you, let's say, want to get featured in a magazine's June issue, you're probably, or sorry, if it's June and you want to get in a magazine's October or November or December issue, that's when you should be pitching. So as you can see here in January, magazines are working on May, June, and July stories. In February, they're working on June, July, and August, and so on. So if you want to take a screenshot of this and go ahead and print it and keep it handy next to your desk, because this is going to really help you focus and give you some sort of guidance when it comes to when to actually pitch your products to magazines. The second step is do your research. And the reason I broke this down into steps is because I know sometimes you might feel like maybe you're overwhelmed by publicity in general, but it's actually when you follow these 5 steps, it's really not that hard and it's actually doable. But the second step is to do your research. So what you want to do is research as much as you can about the magazines that you want to pitch. You want to look at their past issues, you want to request their editorial calendars, and a quick way to do that is you can go to Google or any search engine, and then you can look for magazine or the outlet name and the words editorial calendar or media kit. So this is basically is going to show you what magazines are working on every single month. So let's say you want to get an Oprah magazine. If you Google Oprah magazine editorial calendar or Oprah magazine media kit, you are actually going to be able to download their media kit and see what sort of themes they're working on every single month, because the key to publicity is to actually pitch according to the magazine's theme. You don't just want to pitch your products because you launch something. You want to pitch and make sure that you're tying in to whatever the magazines are working on for that particular month. Here are a couple of different examples. So as you can see here, I put an Oprah editorial calendar, and the first result here is the Oprah Media Kit, and you can just go to that and download it, and it's super, super easy to get. Or for example, Real Simple editorial calendar, you can also use the words Media Kit, but as you can see here, it's really easy to find these. Now, sometimes you are going to have to enter your email address and your name and your contact information, but once you enter that, magazines are going to either give you access right away, or they might email you their editorial calendars or their media kits. So it's super easy to get. And even if you can't find it, you can actually email the magazine and ask for a copy. And oftentimes they will actually send it to you. You'll be really, really surprised. Now here is an example. So this is, I believe, for Gift Shop magazine, and this is their editorial calendar. So as you can see here, they are working, or this is a quarterly publication. So they publish 4 times a year in the winter, spring, summer, and fall. And as you can see here, they tell you everything they're working on. So let's say you want to, maybe you have candles and you want to pitch your candles, you can see here that they're looking for candles in the fall. And let's see if they're looking for candles any other time of the year. So they're not specifically, I'm not seeing that, but you can also pitch, for example, for gifts for grads and teachers. So let's say you have inspirational candles that make really great gifts for teachers, you can pitch that for their winter issue. If you have maybe candles that you donate a portion of your proceeds to charity, you can also pitch for their summer issue under the products with purpose. Or you can pitch for gift wrap and packaging. Maybe you have really special packaging for your candles, or you have handcrafted candles, and so on. But as you can see here, you sort of are allowed to think outside the box here and think about what kind of products do you have and where would they fit in someone's editorial calendar. And as you can see here, I have an arrow, this purple arrow towards the bottom with deadlines. And this is basically, editorial calendars also tell you when you need to pitch the magazine. So you can see for the editorial, their deadline is February 2nd for their spring issue. And again, this changes every year, so make sure to get the most recent copy of the editorial calendar. But this is basically by the time that your absolute latest date when you are going to be pitching your products. If you pitch after February 2nd for their spring issue, you probably are a little too late. And I like to say that publicity is all about pitching the right product to the right person at the right time, because timing is definitely very important when it comes to getting media attention. So this is just an example of editorial calendars. Some editorial calendars don't give you as much information, so you're going to have to see, but for this particular magazine, they do give you a lot of great info. Now, here is another sort of shortcut that you can do if you can't find editorial calendars. So usually magazines, especially national magazines, work around different themes every year. So for example, in January, they cover New Year's resolution, fitness, diet, detox, a new you sort of theme. So if you have products that fit into those categories, maybe you sell yoga mats, or maybe you sell detox products, or products that help you keep your New Year's resolutions, like maybe gratitude journals. Whatever product you sell that might be able to fit into that, you can actually pitch for the January issue. And it goes the same way. For February, there's a huge focus on Valentine's Day gifts. In March, there's a lot of coverage of spring fashion and shopping guides. April is usually a green on eco-friendly issue. May is a Mother's Day gift guide. So I'm not going to read all of these because you can easily see them, but again, if you want to take a screenshot of this as well, this is going to help you figure out what sort of themes magazines are working on every single month, so you can actually pitch your product. So let's go to September here. So for their September issue, they're going to be working on back to school products, full fashion, and a full beauty guide. And you want to start pitching your products in April, as you can see here in the third column. So I'm hoping that this little handy cheat sheet is helpful for you in terms of when to pitch, what themes magazines are working on, and what actually you can pitch for these different magazines. Now, this is one of the trickiest steps, and this is the third step, and that is to find the right contact. So, there are many different ways that you can find the right contact of a magazine. Because, for example, let's say you have a fitness product, you wouldn't want to be pitching the home editor with a fitness product unless it's a fitness product for the home. Or if you have a fashion product, you don't want to be pitching the beauty editor because they're not working on fashion, they're working on beauty products. So there is a bit of an art to finding the right contact here. So one way to do it is to call the publication and ask, or use social media. So let's say if you are calling the publication and you're saying, hey, I am interested in pitching a story, a beauty story for your spring beauty products. Who should I contact? They might tell you you can contact this person and they'll give you their name. And then you can use social media. And I actually love to use LinkedIn for this. I know sometimes entrepreneurs are confused about how to use LinkedIn, but using LinkedIn to find contact information for different magazine editors is a great way to do that. And you can actually, a really cool trick, if you are logged into your LinkedIn account and you type in someone's name and you use the extension, I don't know if this is just a Chrome extension or you can use it with any browser, but it's emailhunter.co, and you put that extension in your Chrome browser and then log into your LinkedIn account and look at that particular person's page or profile. Email Hunter will actually give you their email address. So this is such a great way to find someone's email address once you know who you need to contact. So it's super easy to do. As you can see, it does take a lot of time, or maybe a little bit of time, but for anyone who doesn't have the ability to work with a PR firm or to buy media lists, this is a great way to do that. So once you find the right contact, it's actually time to pitch your product. So you definitely have to pitch the right person, because oftentimes when you're pitching someone and they're not the right person working on that story, they're not going to forward your email to the right person. It's not their job to do that. So once you've identified the right publication, the right opportunity, and the right contact person, it's time to pitch them. And email pitches work best. I don't want you to think about, but if I call them on the phone, will that increase my chances of getting featured? Probably not. It might actually get you blacklisted. So make sure that you are pitching by email. And we're going to talk about how or what to say and how to pitch in just a second here. But email pitches work best. I have talked to so many editors, and the majority of them will say that they prefer to get pitched by email. And I know some of you might be wondering, what about if I just send my products to them? Is that going to be effective? And is that going to work? And my advice is always to steer clear of sending product unless your products have been requested. So editors get a ton of different products, and unless you request them, they're not really sure what to look for and to search for your product. So I wouldn't waste your money and your time mailing products in the mail unless you actually pitch first and the editor requests your product. So in terms of what to say in your email, you want to keep your email short and to the point and tell them exactly why you are pitching. So let's say you have a product that's great for Valentine's Day. You might want to say, "Hey, I am writing to you because I have a product that would be a great fit for your Valentine's Day gift guide, and I would love to tell you more about it." I mean, not exactly in those words, but something along those lines. You don't want to just send a press release without saying anything personal. You want to tell them exactly why you're pitching and what issue you are hoping to get featured in. And it's even better if you use their first name and publication name in your pitch. So once you have their email address, you're going to know their name as well. So refer to them by their first name and their publication name. So an example of that would be, "Hey Sandra, I know you're working on Valentine's Day gifts for your February issue of Vogue magazine, and I'd love to share with you my product." So that's just a quick example, but you want to make sure you're using their first name and their publication name in your pitch, and then also embed an image in your email. I know some of you might want to attach your whole catalog or your line sheet or everything like that. I don't recommend attaching anything. The best thing to do is to take one of your best your most colorful, your best professional looking images and embed that in your email so the editor can see it as soon as they open your email. And for everyone here, if you go to launchgrowjoy.com/pitch, you're going to get a free sample pitch. So you don't have to opt in. You can just go to this and download it right away. But there are a couple of different pitches in there for you. And I walk you through each paragraph, what you should say. And the reason I do that and I want to give this to you is because I know a lot of you, this was actually me included when I first started. I had no idea what to say in an email. So I'm hoping that this is going to make it super, super easy for you. So go ahead to launchgrowjoy.com/pitch. And again, you don't have to opt in. Just go ahead and download the free sample pitch there. So once you've done your pitching, the next step is to follow up. So following up is actually critical to your success and to your PR success, but anything you really do in your business. And I want you to get rid of the mindset that you're bothering people, because you're not bothering them. You're helping them discover cool products that their readers are going to enjoy. So my rule is, if you don't hear anything back after a week from your first email, go ahead and send another email with the subject line following up. And the second email, the follow-up email, can be very similar to your first one. You don't have to rewrite it or anything like that. You can just say, hey, I'm following up on an email I sent you last week. I'm wondering if you're still interested and if you're still looking for this type of product for your July issue. If so, here's more information. So that actually, I have to say, following up has been the number one thing that has gotten me publicity. Most of the time, I don't hear back in my initial email, but I do hear back with my follow-up email. So do not overlook the importance of following up. But if you follow up and you still get no response, then you can actually come up with a different story idea and pitch a different angle, or just move on. You don't need to continue if you don't hear back from your first follow-up. So as you can see, these 5 steps are super, super simple. You can really, once you start, it might be harder the first time you do it, but once you start, it gets super easy and you're sort of cranking out emails to all of these editors that you now have access to. So make sure to follow these 5 steps. And one other thing that I want to leave you with before we close out of the training is that with publicity and with everything that you do in your business, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. This is absolutely one of my most favorite quotes, and I wanted to share this with you here because this is so, so important. Most of the time, magazine editors are not going to come to you. You're going to have to go to them. So this is critical when it comes to publicity. And I want to say, it really is a numbers game. If you send out, let's say, 20 emails, your chances of getting a yes and getting featured are much higher than if you only send out 5 emails or just 1 email. If you send out 100 emails, imagine how many yeses you can get. So it really is so important to just keep sending those emails, make sure they're relevant when it comes to editors here. And this is, I have to say, this is the key to getting publicity. You have to go get it instead of waiting for them or waiting for the publicity to come to you. And one other thing that I actually wanted to mention here before we wrap up and I tell you about an easy tool or a program that I created to really help you with all of this. But I mentioned earlier in the training about how magazine publicity doesn't always translate into sales. And what I mean by that is, if you get a huge magazine mention, people are going to come to your Amazon store and they're going to buy. But that doesn't always happen. So what I want you to keep in mind is, as you are rewriting and crafting your product description on Amazon, if that particular product was mentioned in a magazine, make sure to mention it in your product description in your Amazon store as well. You can say, for example, as featured in Oprah magazine or as featured in Vogue magazine. And what this does for your business and for your product in your online store is that it creates credibility. So credibility is what makes people buy. It's the same way that reviews work, that testimonials work, and this is just another way to get an endorsement and to get a review, but from a source that everybody knows. So make sure to, anytime you do get mentioned, mention that in your product description as well. So before we sign off, and I hope this was really helpful for you. But before we sign off, I want to just quickly tell you about a tool um, that I created, and it's going to allow you, it's the fastest way to get access to editors and bloggers right now without spending all of that time on doing research, going on LinkedIn, looking at editorial calendars, because that does take a lot of time. So my product is called Media Leads, and it's actually the only way to get direct access to top editors and bloggers. And basically what my team and I do is we reach out every day to hundreds of media outlets and we ask them what they're working on right now. And then we share that with our members. And I designed this to save you time and money by giving you access to media opportunities as soon as they become available. So if you feel like you are ready for publicity, but you don't want to do it on your own, this is a great tool that I wanted to share with you. And the link is at launchgrowjoy.com media-leads. And what you get here, as soon as you log on, you get print media leads for print magazines, online media leads, and then you also get media lists as well, and editorial calendars and sample pitches. So I take all of those 5 steps that I talked about in this training and I put them all into one members area for you to get access to. And this is basically what this looks like. So this is one of the different opportunities that came along. This is from Rayanne, and she's the style editor at Oprah Magazine, and we do have actually a great relationship with her. So she reached out to us and she said, "Hey, we're working on our spring issues for March and April, and I'm looking for spring fashion products, fashion accessories, and jewelry. Here's my email address, and please send line sheets my way." So this is what the opportunities looks like, and we cover all types of products. But I wanted to give you a quick look so you can get an idea of what exactly it looks like. And then you're also going to be added to the member directory that we also share with a ton of magazine editors that we reach out to every single day. So I hope this training was helpful for you. If you are feeling ready to join Media Leads or find out more, you can go to launchgrowjoy.com Media Leads and sign up. And the next thing that I want you to do, if you haven't yet downloaded the product pitch, the sample that I created for you, go ahead and do so now at launchgrowjoy.com/pitch. So I hope this training was really helpful for you. If you have any questions, I am always available to answer your questions. And as I mentioned, publicity is all about taking those shots, reaching out to as many relevant editors as possible, and reaching out to the right person with the right product at the right time. So I really hope that this training has inspired you to go out there and get media mentions for your product so you can increase sales in your Amazon store. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.